Always have a support structure that you can rely on. Having people that can always deliver, and at the very least, those that can show progress on a daily basis.
Kita adalah brand holder. Kita kena yakin dengan brand kita. So sebelum kita nak meyakinkan orang dengan brand kita, kita kena yakinkan diri kita dahulu. So macam mana? Ilmu, knowledge. Pergi belajar. Tak belajar, tak tahu. Saya buka syarikat saya sendiri sebab masa itu saya yakin masyarakat tak boleh bergerak tanpa motivasi.
புதுசாக வித்தியாசமாக நீங்கள் யோசித்து ஒரு மார்க்கெட்டில் டிமாண்டாக இருக்கிற ப்ராடக்ட்டை நீங்கள் கொண்டு வந்தீங்கன்னா பயணியராகவும் ஆகலாம். அதே சமயத்தில் மக்கள் திருப்பி வந்து உங்கள்கிட்ட வாங்கிட்டு இருப்பாங்க.
把你的生意放上网络平台，我朋友是做网络卖衣服的生意，他的生意是不断的在增长。我起步的时候是跟去银行贷款，所以他说我的规模也是太小，所以他是不接受我的贷款的。有一天我上网寻找贷款，然后过后就找到 SME， 过后我去 click 进去申请表格。第二天 CGC 的有一个顾问打来跟我说，你可以尝试用 P2P 的平台，过后就成功了。
The great thing about this whole CGC ISME program is that it's no collateral, and you can go for as little as 1,000 ringgit to as much as 5 million. I went online and went to the page, registered, logged in, and just keyed in my details. And from there, within a matter of days, things were already set in motion. So it's really that straightforward and that simple. I was able to get it within a matter of weeks. I think everyone can too.
IMSME ஃபண்ட் வந்து நாங்கள் வந்து அப்ளை பண்ணியிருந்தோம். எங்களுக்கு கிடச்சிச்சு. அது மூலிமா எங்கள் பிஸ்னஸையும் வந்து எக்ஸ்பேண்ட் பண்ணோம். 10% வந்து இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணோம் எங்கள் சேல்ஸை. இது மூலிமா IMSME ஃபண்ட் வந்து ரொம்ப உதவியாக இருந்துச்சு எங்களுக்கு.
Sebenarnya dalam business, fun is everything. You have fun, you can go bigger. You don't have fun, you cannot go anywhere. CGC banyak membantu saya untuk saya go and move further sebenarnya. Dan at the end, saya dah ada branch baru dekat Alustah selepas saya dapat dana daripada CGC. I have no fun problem at all after that. Jadi dengan IMSME memang banyak sangat ubah hidup saya dan banyak membantu mengembangkan bisnes saya.
感谢 IMSME 帮我的生意更上一层楼。
What does it take to truly transform your organization? An organization is like a machine. To run well, all components have to work together as one. If legacy infrastructure is holding your organization back, it may be time for a digital retransformation. Rethink your approach with a cloud-first digital strategy, supported by the best network, best digital solutions, and best experience. Start your journey with Maxis Business, where your organization can meet demands with total flexibility, agility, and control through Malaysia's first programmable network, where you can deliver results with cutting-edge solutions that are scalable and cost-efficient. And where certified experts support you from start to end to ensure your digital strategy aligns with your business strategy. In a cloud-first digital strategy, the right connection is the only thing that matters. And with the right partner, everything will come together to work together.
Thousands of small businesses are struggling during these tough times.
Can our economy rebound from all of this?
Grandma, it's not working.
If one way doesn't work, try another way.
We have what it takes to go global. With a diverse range of sectors, let Martrade take you there. Take a step towards being export ready. Get equipped with the information and skills you'll need. We'll match you with buyers worldwide and help you build connections for you to be a global champion, offering world-class products and services. Get ready to set the standards and go further. Make a difference, because trade matters. The world awaits you. The time to export is now.
a business award, a networking platform, and an innovative community. For the past 11 years, SOBA has recognized more than 350 small and medium enterprises. Many are now leaders in their industry, and some have even grown to become public listed companies. Be a part of SOBA and show us that you have got what it takes to be the best of the best.
For the 7th consecutive year, CGC is honored to participate in SOBA 2021. SOBA's role in encouraging and recognizing SMEs' contribution towards building a stronger and more resilient economy is well aligned with our mandate. 2020 was a year like no other, and we were honored to have played our role in assisting SMEs to navigate through it. CGC remains committed to provide assistance to SMEs so that we all can keep our dreams alive, bounce back together, stronger than ever.
At Maxis, we are inspired by business who use technology to create meaningful outcomes for their customers. This is aligned with Maxis' brand purpose, to bring the best of technology to enable people, business and nation to always be ahead in the fast-changing world. We are committed to be a partner to SME and enterprise in their digitalization journey and also play a key role in the nation's digital agenda. We are delighted to be partnering SOBA for this purpose and look forward to be recognizing up-and-coming personality and business and their contribution to Malaysia economy.
Branding is very important for our company. In 2010, PKT decided to participate in awards to brand ourselves. So we participated in the Star Outstanding Business Award. We didn't win big during that time. We got 3 minor awards, but we know how and what is required to win awards. And we came back the following year to win 5 awards from the Star Outstanding Business Awards. And we have grown our business ever since then, leaps and bounds, and now we are back here to sponsor the Star Outstanding Business Awards because we believe with branding you can scale your business to another level. So see you at the SOBA 2021.
RHB is really excited to partner SOBA for the 4th year running. We are confident that SMEs can lead the building back of a strong Malaysian economy, and SOBA can provide that great opportunity for businesses to come together to share, learn and be nurtured by the very best in industry. We have worked with some really great companies through the years and we look forward to journeying with many more.
Madrid is delighted to participate in SOBA 2021 as the official trade promotion agency. SOBA plays an essential role in acknowledging SMEs' achievements and contributions to the Malaysian economy, and we take pride in being a part of it for the 6th consecutive year. As a national trade promotion agency, Madrid would like to encourage SMEs to participate in SOBA to gain useful insight and tap the minds of experts in trade. At SOBA, you will obtain the support from pivotal parties who ensure SMEs' strong presence within the export sector.
SOBA 2021.
SOBA 2021.
SOBA 2021.
SOBA Star Outstanding Business Award 2021.
SOBA 2021.
SOBA 2021.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the SOBA Lab webinar, #SOS, Save Our SMEs, Opportunities Amidst the Pandemic. We hope you and your loved ones are staying safe, healthy, despite the global pandemic. Whether you're joining us via Zoom, Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, we'd like to thank you for joining us. My name is Cheong, and I'll be your host today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Star Media Group is delighted to welcome Credit Guarantee Corporation Malaysia, Maxis, PKT Logistics Group, and RHB Bank Berhad as our main sponsors. Thank you, and we are very excited to have all these heavyweights on board with us. We hope that this great working partnership will continue for many, many more years to come. Now, also a big thank you to the official trade promotion partner, Madrid supporting partner, MITI and Bursa Malaysia, as well as Auditor BDO, the official media partner, and 988 and Surya. We are grateful for your expert advice, your guidance and support throughout the awards process, and of course not also forgetting our strategic partners from the various business organizations and associations. We thank you for your time, commitment in building a knowledgeable workforce, a responsible community, and a progressive society. We will also like to thank SendQuick as our mobile messaging partner. Ladies and gentlemen, at its core, SOBA recognizes the important role that local businesses play towards building the nation and encourages businesses to achieve new milestones and to push the boundaries and achieving greater heights. And along that note, this year's SOBA Lab, which is an acronym for Learn, Aspire and Build, is organized via a series of webinars addressing valuable business insights. We're going to kickstart the opening session today by addressing the very important topic and discussion on opportunities amidst the pandemic. Now, to learn more about SOBA online application, you may scan the QR code on the top right of your screen or visit www.soba.com.my. If you have any questions for the speakers, for Zoom, you may post it into the Q&A box, and for Facebook viewers, YouTube viewers, you may post it in the comment section. Lastly, and most importantly, please remember to learn, aspire, and build. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our first panelist of the day is Asid Yong, founder of Duran Duran. Now, when COVID-19 slowed down Malaysia, Asid did not stop moving forward and pursued the idea of a food business with Duran Duran. Now, starting from scratch, within 3 weeks of MCO 3.0, Asid utilized the inactive Korea wallpaper team and sold 150 tons of Musang King in the 2021 Duran season. Our second panelist is Jenny Ho. Now, Jenny is the Vice President of SME Advisory and Marketing for the Credit Guarantee Corporation Malaysia, CGC. Now, Jenny has a very collaborative nature. She's got depth in advisory, stemming from constant engagements with customers across industries from domestic and global markets. Now, this enables her to provide insights that are crucial to derive customer-focused marketing frameworks, product profitability management, and effective digital adoption strategies for businesses. Now, our third panelist is Kevin Lee. Now, Kevin is head of SME for Maxis Business. He leads a team of passionate individuals who focus on driving segment propositions, developing go-to-market strategies, and transforming B2B sales channels. Now, in the meantime, while the technology team is working on getting the speakers to log in, please bear with us. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Please stay tuned. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us. I want to pose the first question to Asid, and of course, hi, Jenny, hi, Kevin, as well. But Asid, you had a very interesting past 60 to 90 days or so. You have been, until recently, heading a company called Korean Wallpaper, right? Now, of course, you were not spared the pandemic. You transformed the company, and you helped a lot of the staff who were not doing anything at the time to go into a completely new business, which is basically F&B and delivery services. We actually had the privilege of getting a package from your team. Very, very well done, very tasteful. The durian cakes were amazing, right? But even before that, you were doing durians, and you sold 150 tons of durians. Can you describe the journey from basically the distress that you had with Korean Wallpaper, and then the transition to basically F&B retail? How did that journey go?
I think I introduce a bit my background first. I always believe that initiative and innovative two must come together to produce an outcome. So in my case, it's been about taking the initiative to break out of my comfort zone. In my career pathway, I was involved in 3 different industries. I was first an maths teacher. Back then, I took initiative to innovate changing my teaching method. So with my teaching method, I was able to complete 1 year syllabus in 9 months, and my student did not need to take any notes or do extra homework from my classes. So moving on to my next venture, Korea Wallpaper, I took the step to make our wallpaper available online. However, my idea was not very supported. The advice and comment I got was, wallpaper cannot shop online. Cannot see, cannot touch, cannot feel. So March 2020, our first MCO, our team decided to close down 6 of our galleries. So I had a strong conviction that we have to go online. In 30 days, we managed to revamp our website, did photo shooting, video shooting, and uploading not less than 3,000 SKU to our web store. So our revenue was increased by 50% compared to the previous quarters. So when it's come to MCO 2.0 and 3.0 just recently, our operation was heavily impacted due to the extended period of closure. And we noticed that consumer spending power is a lot more depleted compared to before because the market is exhausted. And here come my third most recent venture, Duran Duran. Why durians? Because my circle of friends and I have owned our own durian orchard, our initial plan for Durian was a durian themed cafe. My dream is to run a cafe. A place is very lively, comfortable, where groups of friends come here to bond, to catch up and hang out. It was around the most recent MCO, the durian in our farms in Pago started dropping in very small batches. So I sent the first few batch to my friends. Then I saw the joy and the peacefulness from their eyes while receiving the gift. So from there, I was inspired and I found the opportunity. I told my teams, let's sell durians. So it was about end of May. In 3 weeks' time, we come out with the packaging and branding and go out with our IT team to create our online system and got the operation and logistic all sorted out. So everything seemed like play perfectly. Then we got the right time, right circumstances, and also the right people. Why we said right time? Because our country is going MCO 3.0. It was started the biggest durian season of the year. We are unable to go out to buy at the fruit store, but we can buy online. Durian is king. Most of Malaysian grabbing on durian. And why right circumstance? Because we have owned our durian farm, so we know the quality of the durians very well because the farmer put a lot of efforts to managing our 30 years old trees. So the last one is the most important one, the right people. So other than our team from Korea Wallpaper, we have great support from my friends who are also bosses themselves. They brought their team over to help industry durian in such short time. And some of my friends who are KOL and KOC that received my gift offer to share and post for free. So these three R's are the most important factors that make durian bloom in such short period of time. So I'm beyond thankful for all these things and that's happened on us. So this is very short.
That's a very fascinating story, Acid. And I think because durian is seasonal, you were very quick to transition to then mooncakes. And then, of course, I'm sure you're thinking 5 steps ahead already, right? But you have a lot of ingredients that work for you. Now, a lot of micro entrepreneurs and small SMEs, they don't have those ingredients that work for them. So I want to talk to you, Jenny, and in terms of the work that at CGC that you're doing, advising clients, advising small companies, a lot of them don't have that recipe. They don't have the KOLs among their friends. They might not have the access to high net worth individuals among their peer groups. They're struggling, right? And even CGC yourselves, you're pivoting from your traditional business into more advisory and consulting services. Can you tell us a bit about some of your experiences advising these small entrepreneurs?
Yes, sure. I think before that, I think as said, you did a really good job. We have a lot of SMEs that we have a lot of dialogue sessions with, and they have similar challenges like you, and some of them did the same like you. But I can share some of our SME stories later. But on our CGC side, I think the first thing is very important before we advise the customers what to do. I think we also have to reflect and ask ourselves, are we also doing the right thing, right? Similar to as said on CGC, we also kind of have the right ingredient. Why do I say that? For nearly 50 years, CGC has been doing guarantee business, and we have done direct financing recently to help some of the SMEs who are unable to get financing from the banks. And just want to clarify here that we work with the bank as a partners. We don't compete with the banks. We guarantee the loans or financing. But if the banks are not, say, opening up to, for example, startups, right? They can come to CGC, and we do direct financing for startup businesses. And just about 5 years ago, at that time, I think none of us knew that pandemic would come. Though we think that every year, every day, changes are happening around us, seasonal monsoon and things like that. So we are prepared for all this. But somehow we are lucky that we had the right ingredient. We came out with our advisory service. Why we did that? Because to us, it's very simple. Having a product is just having a product, right? But having a solution is what's important. I think it's not just in CGC, in any businesses that we do, giving the right concept, having solutions is important. So what do you do with people who get loan rejected? What about those who got a loan but do not know how to manage the fund, and next day they could just turn into non-performing loan? So we came up with the idea to do advisory services whereby first we close the gap of people who don't get financing. Second, we help those who have gotten financing to keep them sustainable. And how we do that is we open up advisory workshops, and how we find the topic is not based on what I think or what my team think, but we do survey and research, asking the customers what do they want. So they said they want to enter digital markets, they want to go international markets, or whether they want to go local markets. That's how we gather the information, and we came up with workshops to guide them. And we also have started preparing them going into e-commerce. And just in time, before the pandemic hit, that is where our customers were more open. You may be surprised, I'm not sure who is listening here, but there are a lot, actually more than 75% of SMEs in Malaysia belong to the micro segment. And in micro segment customers, when I speak to them, please do not be surprised. Some of them really don't have the confidence and say, what is it and what is that. So our motivational, workshops actually help them to gain confidence. And then they take a step after another. And I believe today, most of the bigger SMEs, I believe you have started somewhere, you went through the challenges, and these are the majority of those that CGC are really wanting to help. So beyond doing advisory workshops, we also help the SMEs to get into new markets, whether be it local, international, exports, or even online. So this is what we do in CGC, and we had the right ingredient, like Cheong said, and we managed to help these SMEs, and they themselves as well had the right ingredient because they learned. They learned before the pandemic happened, and when the pandemic happened, it just was the right opportunity for them to be online, selling on the online platform.
Yeah, and I'm dying to get to talk to Kevin, because Kevin does all the fun stuff and all the sexy stuff, right? But I think I just need to dwell on one point with you first, Jenny. Because small entrepreneurs, they have difficulty getting financing, right? So how do you ensure that whatever financing they secure are not punishing, it's not punitive down the line in terms of maybe the cost of funds or the terms on which they have to repay those funds?
Okay, in terms of the cost for them, right? You see, one thing coming to cost, where you call it interest rate, or if it's an Islamic loan, you call it Islamic financing, you call it a profit rate, right? Some people are not aware that when they look at the rate, example, one of our products is called Biz Mula, it's for startups, right? Mula. So the interest rate or the profit rate is actually only about 7%. But if you look at it, right, you cannot compare this because there's also an education behind this. Effective rate or flat rate. Sometimes you look at certain interest rate that's very low, maybe just 2%, right, higher purchase. But if you bear in mind, that is actually on a flat rate calculation, whilst our loan or financing is on an effective rate. So the good thing about this is that if you pay down, your interest that you have to bear is actually only on the outstanding payment. So that's number one. Number two is that we will actually help the customers with various products, one of them being term loan, and one of them we also do sort of like a contract financing, whereby you only pay when you actually utilize. So because of all these various variety of products, I think best if the customer share with us on their need, and usually our salespeople will advise them accordingly. And being whether it's in CGC or not, I will share later. We actually have an online platform whereby in CGC we do not help SMEs only coming to CGC, but we also help them to link or bridge them to all the banks in Malaysia.
Okay, so on to you, Kevin, the sexy stuff, right? You help all these guys and give them all these cool technology tools to get online. I think Maxis also is pivoting quite interestingly in a fashion, right? Because last time we think of Maxis as like a mobile phone services, then you go into data, then you offer all those packages, but now you're also going into services, and you're helping companies to go online and specifically into e-commerce. So these tools you're offering to all these SMEs, right? Can you talk about that experience?
Yes, definitely, Cheong. We are a bit similar to CGC. Maxis is lucky. I would say lucky. We started since 2018, really pivoting a lot into helping Malaysia business to get on board of the digitalization journey. So we started helping some of the brands, Malaysian retail brands, to build their online presence, to do their online business, e-commerce, and entire value chain. So what we noticed last year was such that let me sort of share that there are a few different types of business where we see now. They are a traditional business. They have pretty successful in the traditional mean, whether they're retail or they are in certain space. We are starting to see that a lot of them are all eager to go online to try to build a web presence, because e-commerce is when you need to really pivot and next scale. So we have helped quite a lot of brands to set up the web, inventory, and even logistic, payment. And last year, since pandemic, very clearly, almost all the brands that we work with, we support, their businesses has improved anywhere from 50% to 300%, almost everyone. So that sort of signify that being able to get online is super critical. Just like what you see the story of what Acid is mentioning. I always mention two things. If you're SME, you need to be creative, innovative, especially these 2 years, because the market landscape has changed. Customer behavior has changed, all our lifestyles all changed. So innovation is very important. Third point is you need to be able to leverage on digital platform and technology. So the answer to what you said just now, how can SME leverage on some of this technology go online? I mentioned earlier on, we started helping some of the larger SME. I would say that the mid-tier SME to set up a full-fledged of e-commerce, logistic, digital marketing. And last 1 year, I must say, well, we see the similar trend as what Jenny is saying. A lot of SME, they're not there yet. They don't have a strong brand. They're probably not really having that appetite to spend to really build an entire e-commerce platform. So there are few interesting things that we see that SME adopting very well. One is we started to help some SME to get onto some simple platform. Example, you can get to simple platform as simple as a Facebook, having a Facebook page, a Facebook store. Digital marketing is helping a lot. So I'm very surprised that almost all customers that I've seen over the last 1.5 years, if they have started to venture into digital marketing, to use digital marketing to reach out to new market, to find new customers, whether through all the social media platform, which is common, like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, almost all of them see that they are able to get good business.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Kevin, I want to dwell on one point with you, just like I did with Jenny, right? Capital constraint is something that has been brought on in a big way by the pandemic. But even before the pandemic, there was human resource constraint, talent shortage, and of course, there's also the cultural issue. A lot of Chinamen, right? For example, they don't believe in, or they don't see the point of digital marketing or going online. There's a bit of a mental block there, right? So how do SMEs, especially the micro SMEs, traverse this landscape where they've got to fight lack of money, cultural appreciation, and of course also no people within the company to manage this transition, because they need someone internal, right? How do they do that?
Okay, first one is a perception issue. I think when we say going online to try to sell something or do digital marketing, you do internet or do e-commerce, a lot of perception is that they're so expensive. Yeah, we're not surprised to see a lot of companies spend tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands into this space over the past 5-6 years and not really seeing results. So what we have done is we have created a lot of affordable platform for SME to come online to start their digital journey. And give one example. We launched a digital marketing starter kit platform. Okay, so this is for the real traditional SME where you don't know how to even create an ad, you don't know what digital marketing means. There's a platform now we have. You can actually get on it, sign up. You can simple step of how to create an ad and who you want to target, and just be able to push out to all the common social platforms in terms of digital marketing. And it's super affordable. We are also working with MDEC.
Wait, how affordable is affordable?
Well, I'm talking about less than 200-300 ringgit a month. You can actually use a platform. See, this is very contradicting to a lot of belief that if I want to start to engage a digital marketing agency, what can you find in the market? You outsource it, you find someone, you pay maybe a retainer fee of a couple thousand a month, and on top of that, you have to pay all your marketing dollars. So now we are encouraging SME to adopt this starter kit. Is a platform self-serve. very DIY, very user-friendly. You spend less than 300 ringgit a month, you can use this platform. Just try out your digital marketing approach. And when you start to really get a hang of it, you learn the trade, then you can think about outsourcing it. This is one. We are also working with MDEC. All of this are a part of MDEC partnership that there is a digital grant that SME can claim from.
Okay.
So this is the digital marketing. I'd like to mention something that we recently launched, focus last couple months. We know last 3 months was really impactful to F&B, the small F&B. We can get even those coffee shop, kopitiam, and small F&B outlet. So we also introduced a light version of point of sale. It's a cloud point of sale, very similar to what you've seen out there on the big food delivery platform, where you can put your food item online, you have a URL, you can start to reach out to do online delivery and with a payment and delivery. So that give an example, this platform probably costs less than 200 ringgit a month. And it doesn't cost them 30%, 40% of commission. Okay. So these are the small things that we think we do that really encourage and help small SME take away your mindset of perception that going online digital is super difficult and expensive. It's actually not.
Yeah, it's definitely much more affordable now than it used to be in the past. But I said I want to go back to you, and I want to commend you on the Mid-Autumn Festival mooncakes that landed in my house. Very, very tastefully done. The mooncakes went in 6 hours. They've just gone. My daughter ate them all, right? But the way they came, beautifully packaged, very nice. Was it brass or silver spoon inside, which came along. Very nice wooden tray. Very nice. Can keep for a long time. It's something you want to keep. It makes your brand memorable. Now, I think Duran is very lucky to have you in charge. Korean wallpaper as well. But the thing is, when you are going through all the troubles, especially in the bottom of the pandemic, right? You've got no money. Your staff are losing morale. You are also, under pressure. How do you get creative about getting solutions, least of which even to pivot away into a new business when all these things are happening? Can you describe the journey for me?
No time to complain. Actually, you have to keep moving. So I believe as a business owner, the ability to react quickly is an important characteristic. We were left with no many options but to quickly evaluate our situation and make sharp decision on the best possible direction to pivot to. So when the door are shut, there will be a new opening. When there's a problem, there will be new opportunity. Just back to my strongly belief, you have to initiate to innovate. So I have no time to be sad or to be bland. So I just go around and find opportunity to make sure my team stay alive. So now it's lucky. We are all, I think, overcome. It's good.
So cash flow is very important. When cash flow dries up, ideas dry up, motivation dries up, energy also dries up, right? Cash flow, how did you solve it?
Solve this. I'm kind of people that spend a little bit time on this feeling only. I work out from all this negative emotion very fast one. So I say I'm lucky. I have a lot of resources around me, so I fully utilize it. So now I do.
Jenny, I'm sure in the workshops you've been talking to all these small entrepreneurs. They've been going through a very tough time, especially the hotel guys, F&B guys, the retailers, with lockdown, no business, kosong, right? Facing bankruptcy, insolvency. What happens in the workshops that you conduct at CGC? What do you tell them? What kind of tips and advice do you give?
Okay, so in CGC, I think the first thing first is that everyone remembers us as the financiers or, come to us for money. And like what you mentioned, it's not so sexy and things like that. But actually, we have the imsme.com.my. That is something that we introduced about 3 years ago. Again, it was before pandemic. And of course, when we started off, we only have a limited banking partners, limited products, right? And as we grow, we keep improving it. I think the good thing is that platform, firstly, is already opening doors to SMEs in cutting down their time in going around to source for financing. Imagine you have to drive to bank, right? But now you can actually log on to this website, imsme.com.my, and you could actually just put in your requirement, how many years, what is it for, then it will just populate and match your need, and of course subsequently there's still document that you need to submit and things like that. So the thing is that it's quite common for first level that some SMEs may not even realize simple things like DSR. This is a bit technical. I can always share.
What is DSR?
DSR stands for debt service ratio. So usually, for example, depending on the bank, if you are needing 100,000 loan amount, you should at least show that you require that and you don't have over gearing on it, right? So these are simple terms, annual income and things like that. So imsme.com.my, this platform, I noticed something. Remember the days when we used to have people pump our petrol when you stop your car at the petrol station? But today, I think we have to get down off the car to pump the petrol. I think this is where we are starting to educate the customers on digitalization without them knowing. They're actually now more self-sufficient. They can actually go online and apply for the financing. But I think back to Cheong's question, I'm not here to promote so much about the product, but more of like, how do you advise them and help them, right? So that is the first step. We help them in securing a financing, knowing where to search for financing at one platform. Secondly, we don't leave them just like that. If in the event of unsuccessful application, we have a dedicated team that provides them advisory. And usually this is where we come across a lot of customer always saying that they have cash flow problems, right? And when we dig deeper, right, usually cash flow is always the reason why you want to seek for financing. But what causes cash flow? Some, yes, because you just run out of cash because of the lockdown. But there are instances whereby it is because they do not know how to sell or they have limited marketing channels. And because of that happens, you could have produced overstock, and you couldn't sell. But at the same time, you have to pay your supplier for your stock. So that's where we came up to advise them on how to enter new market, how to sell so that they are not concentrated. You see, in financial institutions, this is what we always say: concentration risk appetite. These are the common words lah. But we also apply it to the SMEs, sharing with them that, well, you cannot have only one channel selling. Just like, for example, if you do not have online, you only rely on walk-in. Tomorrow something happened, you don't have the online channel. But if you have an online channel, despite sometimes the margin might be lesser than walk-in. But if you have a channel like that, it can sustain, and you can have a blended between the two channels. So this is what we advise them.
Okay, Jenny, just again to dwell with you on this issue, right?
Yeah.
It's very well to talk about this in conceptual terms, but for the SME who's in the trenches, suffering through, and he's still suffering, right? A lot of financial obligations still continue. Like, for example, rental payments. It's not like in the US where there's rental holidays from landlords. Some don't give. Now, of course, there's also things like inland revenue, advanced tax collections, which also take place. That one cannot run one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of payments that still need to happen. And of course, at the same time, I couldn't help but notice that you mentioned earlier that some of the loan costs can be as much as 7% a year. That's still very, very high, because even though now, Bank Negara, we're at 1.7% overnight policy rate, record low, and 7% is still very, very high. Is there room within the financial sector, not necessarily with you, to offer more generous terms for SMEs, maybe interest holidays or interest waivers, for example,
Right.
Maybe even grants, I know there's relief facilities, there's the SRF, there's the TRF as well.
Yes.
What about those things? I mean, Budget 2022 is coming up.
Yes. So I think coming to that point, Cheong, yes, that is actually what is happening, and CGC is actually in a role of supporting this, whereby there were funds given during this period of time. Started off with SRF, right? That stands for Special Relief Facility, and then currently there's still another fund ongoing that's called TRF. Aside from that, when you talk about the payment holiday or along that line, right, we have supported the Bank Negara's initiative, whereby I think it's actually made known to everyone that moratorium is actually happening, right? It happened 2 rounds already, one earlier, and the other one is actually happening now, and it's going to end by this year end. Of course, budget and all these are coming. I don't want to comment on that, but I'm sure we will in CGC do our best to support this. Like all this TRF and also SRF, we are actually guaranteeing it, right? That's why we do see some of the customer coming to us. But of course, there are times whereby I don't want to be talking about the rosy things all the time, though we are supposed to be touched about opportunity, right? We also see customers that in the sector affected and not able to access to all this kind of funding. what we have assisted is on the market access or helping them to pivot their business. So there are several customers of ours who came to us and they have pivoted their business. Tourism is a good example. Let's not talk about all those, in food, and then they have an option, those in tourism. Again, like Asid's case, I think opportunity do not come just overnight. But with those who are prepared, they can seize the opportunity. And why are they prepared is because usually it is something they have been doing because they've been learning. So if they've been learning a skill or they're doing it as a hobby, pastime, like Asid's case, she just happened to have bought it because she was bonding with her friend, and then everything just happened. So these are the customers whereby we inspire them and say that, hey, you can actually do this business, and we can actually assist you even though this is not your main business or financing with us, but we're helping them to provide advisory on how to basically sell the other business that they are pivoting. Also, what we do is sharing sessions. Importantly is that I'm not the expert of everything. We are all not expert of everything. Maybe in financing, yes, we are from CGC, right? But when it comes to non-financing, you need to leverage and networking. Like today when we're speaking here, I'm also learning from Asid, Kevin, as well as Cheong yourself, So I think all these sessions are useful, and invest our time in listening, hearing. We can decide not to accept the teachings, but we can always still open our minds. And like what Asid said, being innovative, I think that's very important in a business. Yeah, we don't only want to be innovative, but R&D is part of our day to day. As a marketing person, right, I was last time, pushed to do what, do not sit in the office. Please go out there. I want you to sit at the street and see everyone walking past. What are they doing? How are they behaving? Just sit down there and watch their behavior. I think this is a role of, a business person. We should be doing all this thing and not wait for something to hit us, but we need to predict and observe people's behavior. Youngsters.
No, you're right. No, you're right. Jenny, again, I just want to say, Asid, your partners or your shareholders in Korean Wallpaper and Duran, it's very rare to have someone like you to be so creative and so innovative. It's almost as if you don't need assistance to just, you're self-energized by yourself. And of course, Jenny, as you know, I think it was Virgin Galactic Group founder Richard Branson who said that money, especially if it's cheaper money or good, accessible money without too many strings attached, they can fund ideas. Now, again, I mean, Kevin, you get all the fun stuff, right? You get all the sexy stuff. Where you sit in Maxis business, you've got this front seat view of how business is evolving as we speak. And business has evolved so fast. We've seen companies in tourism going to kitchens and food delivery. We've seen all kinds of stuff. I can't even imagine how many things there are. We've seen wallpaper companies going to Musang King delivery and then into Mid-Autumn Festival food deliveries. That's amazing. That's off the scale, right? From your perspective, Kevin, where are the new growth opportunities? Because you have seen up close, you're talking to these guys. What are they doing?
Yeah, you're right. I think I've seen Malaysian business owners are all amazing. We're all full bunch of creative people here. So similar example like Asid, I've seen quite a lot of examples. They started the business less than a year, and now they're doing about 6 figures of sales every month. So I think what is important for all business to take note is, see, when we say pandemic disrupt a lot of traditional business, but it's at the same time it's an opportunity for a new business to come in. Because see, as I mentioned earlier, business have to now observe what is the consumer buying behavior. Buying behavior change. A lot of things from in the past is about physical face-to-face, now into digital. That is one. And because of digital, this pandemic, a lot of digital eyeball has increased. So a lot of people that they never really get on social media, they all get on it. So right now, all customers that you want to find any customers, big data, internet data is all there, that you just need to know who you want to target. So I encourage all business to start to think about their digital strategy. Okay, I think this is important. And second thing is,
Kevin,
yes,
do we need to be on TikTok? Sorry,
yes, it really depends on. Okay, that's why what I mentioned is it depends on your market segment. I give you simple narrative. Even when I talk to a lot of SME on how do they go into social digital marketing, they will say it depends on who you want to find. If you want to find a young, I think it's three different populations. You want to find an adult population, stable household, family. You want to sell something to them. You go to Facebook. This is where they are because this is where they post a family picture or the fun thing. You want to look for the younger population, you probably go Instagram. This is a hip and fun, the exciting people. They all full idea. I think TikTok is the new medium. I've started to see a lot of SME brand, a lot of customers. They started to think about how do we do TikTok, small little video clip just to post up. Again, it comes back to creativity. You need creativity, like what Asset is looking at. Think about how customers' behavior has changed and start to do something about it rather than just thinking and not doing it.
Okay, so from the digital tools perspective, right, Kevin, of course, payment processing is definitely on the cards. Digital marketing, no question about it. But what about things like, I don't know, it could be verification, could be biometrics, could be security, data issues, data privacy issues, analytic tools. Are those things coming up? What do you see in that regard?
Definitely. Maybe let's take two different type of business. I believe a lot of audience here, they are the very familiar business that we talk about, the B2C. The B2C key priority now is about going out there, find new customers, right? That's where social media platform, online payments all come into the place. What you just mentioned, we also have another type of customers out there. We see that, especially the B2B, they're dealing with a lot more confidential data. They are dealing with their client. They need to make sure that they are moving their operation into the cloud. So data security become very, very crucial because all these are sensitive data. So we do see in the other spectrum where, give example, a lot of manufacturing or wholesaling business, they're dealing B2B. Because of pandemic hit, you can't have people going back to the office. They start to think about how do I operate with all my employees out there, working from home. How do I make sure now I can reach out to new business? I mean, give you an example. The B2B market in the past, they go overseas trying to go to the trade show to find business. But last 2 years, there's no trade show. So how do they survive? How do they find new customers overseas? So they also, I do see a lot of B2B company also start to go to e-commerce trying to find new customers, but not necessarily payment. So what I'm trying to say is any business think about what you need. All the digital platform, if you're B2C, you're probably thinking about simple e-commerce platform, digital marketing, payment, fulfillment. Digital, those are all important. But if you are more the B2B, you are dealing with more sensitive data, I think then e-commerce is still relevant to you, but e-commerce is more for you to establish a brand, reach out to new potential customers, can be locally or overseas. Not necessarily payment, maybe not necessarily logistic, but data security. How do you think about moving all your operation from on-site into cloud? So we don't know what will happen over the next many years. It can be another pandemic coming from nowhere. So all business need to be able to get themselves ready in a digital ready new norm. Okay. So they will operate anytime, anywhere with all the operation data on the cloud and ready to go.
Okay, we're a couple of minutes away from taking some questions from the audience. But before that, I want to talk to Asset again because you have been very quick and very responsive. In fact, you've been proactive, not reactive to the changing seasons, to the changing consumer consumption patterns, Asset. Is this a new norm for entrepreneurs, in the post-pandemic era where you've got to keep on seeking out new opportunities, always pivoting? Is that the mindset that you have to take on? And if so, how do you put in place the systems to make that happen regularly and sustainably?
Yes, digital is really the new norm of the business. All the business must be go digital. The thing that I'm thinking is rather than depends on the current platform, social media, to viral out your product. Actually, I'm building. My brand is building my own KOC. because you
So
keep
KOC is key opinion
consumer.
consumer. Okay.
Yes, I think this is the new thing have to plan by all the business owner.
What is KOC?
Key opinion consumer, people who've been use your product and willing to share it, willing to share their experience of using. This is the most valuable comments that are the new user want to know. So if keep do boosting or advertising on the social media platform, I think the user will be immune. They will more believe to their friends and family. So this is what Duran doing now. We have our Dorangers. Dorangers is like just a loyalty program. So we have a lot of campaign that the Dorangers willing to share. The coming campaign will be how you give the Duran mooncake packaging second life. So I think the campaign will be another next 2 days will be announced in the social media. So we encourage all the mooncake user. They repost how they use the wooden plate, the spoon, and the basket. So we want people talk for us. So this is what new norm, not only digital. You have to build your own channel, the people that talk for you. If not, at the end, you will find that the most of the money you will invest in social media boosting.
Okay, but you see, things, I agree. I said, it's fantastic. My wife kept the basket. We're going to use that down the line. The spoon, very nice to use, very like high quality, heavy. The thing is, it's a low, it's everybody can copy, right? Everybody can keep on spending money for more memorable material things. What can you do to make yourself even more memorable, to keep on raising the bar? What's your thought process there?
Multiple your product range. Actually, we are now already in planning of our pastry. Our cafe also will going on. And also the offline fruit store is also going on.
Okay, so can you talk about execution of those ideas? Because when you talk about pastry, you need completely new infrastructure. That's going to cost money, right? You're also going to compete with a lot of other more established pastry makers and right? Easy to say, tough to do. So how do you do the tough part?
Do collaboration with people. You want to drink milk, not necessarily you need to have a cow. This is what I think.
Okay, so that's a very profound Confucius type statement. Can you explain that?
Sorry, again?
Can you explain the concept? If you want to drink milk, you don't need to use the cow. Talk it through.
Okay.
Like how do you select the right partners? Many partners, right? How do you choose? On what terms do you offer
choose multiple partners. Just like I want to start the pastry, I won't choose one bakers. I will choose maybe 50 bakers. So I have 50 significant dessert and pastry for my Duran. This is what I think. So do the collaboration. So everyone can earn the money. The money is big. So this is what I think. So I don't need to invest all those equipments, everything. Just you give the profit more to people.
This is the new economy, isn't it, Kevin? Right? It's the network economy where you just kind of like it's a bit like in mobile companies where you share networks, you share backbones, right? It's happening in real time. Do you think the pandemic has accelerated this, Kevin?
Yeah. I must say that if you understand what's happening now, it's all about speed on the market. Okay, besides creativity, it's about speed on the market. What I've observed is the era where in order to be successful, it's all about collaboration, leveraging on each other. I mean, I also seen another example where there's a few F&B restaurant brand. Because of pandemic, they decided to combine all the kitchen to do a central kitchen. So now they can have a lesser outlet, but they can continue to do their online business and deliver multiple brands. So collaboration among SME, whether it's among your peer or the value chain. I mean, I'll give you an example. When Acid wanted to do the durian business, within 1 month, she need to collaborate with the fulfillment partners. If you don't find a strong fulfillment, you have to build your fulfillment, then you can't guarantee it, because it's about scalability. Internet era is about scalability, leveraging on the possibility of a scale.
Yeah. That's it. What did you say?
Build is too slow.
Yeah.
Too
Scale,
slow to
right?
share one example.
Yeah.
we're facing the logistic problem when we deliver the durians. We short of riders. We use third party platform to order the riders, but the process is really slow. At the end, we tell all the riders, can you shut down the platform and come every day to our dispatch center? We guarantee you have the enough job for that day. So along these 60 days, the riders come collaborate with us. We use the word collaborates. So we solve the rider problem. So now we have 100, I think about 100 riders. So next seasons of durian, so I can solve this problem really.
Fantastic. So the plans are put in place for next season already. Everybody loves Musang King. I said you're on the right track here. The whole world loves durian, right?
Yes.
Let's end with Jenny, because I think we've got about 3 or 4 minutes left. We are still, I think, trying to collect the Q&As from the audience. But just in terms of the role of financial services in economic rejuvenation, Jenny, I think the analysts are saying that the third quarter, fourth quarter, that's really going to see the big recovery of the economy, the big push into 2022 when everything will start to come out. I think Malaysia GDP next year is going to be high teens, maybe 7-8%. Can you talk about some of that seismic movements? You know, because again, financial services and the liquidity suppliers like yourselves, you can see exactly what's going on.
Well, I think on this point, most of us would have been able to see this as well due to the recent, I think, less than a month, when the sectors are starting to open. I'm not sure whether if you all done any bookings of any holidays or things like that. I was informed that certain local trips, day trip and things like that are already fully taken up. So I think the positive side of this is that yes, I know some SMEs have suffered, but at the same time, there's also a large backlog, from these last 18 months or nearly 2 years, whereby people are just hungry to get out of their house. Malls are full, traffics are, like normal. So I think let's be on the positive side that I think we will prepare the business for us to cater to all these, revivals. And with all the government support, internally ourselves, CGC, we are also digitalizing and preparing our resources to cater to the volume. Because I have to also emphasize this, that I realized in the last 18 months, there were so much more inquiries coming to CGC because of the assistance required to help them to first sustain, right? And now I think it's the revival plans for SMEs. Yeah.
Exactly. I've got a couple of questions from the audience, and I'm going to ask them of Acid, because these are very entrepreneur type questions. Okay, so I hope you'll take this question, Acid. I think one of the questions which has been posed is for micro companies, micro entrepreneurs who started business or maybe pivoted into new businesses during the pandemic. What is the biggest concern they should focus on? What is the main area they should focus on? Just to advise the small entrepreneurs.
Main area to focus on. Never think about this. I just got the idea, then I do already. Just take the action. Don't keep thinking. This is what I did. I never think more one, because I think can do, then I do.
Okay, because so don't overthink the process.
On the way of doing, you always can find solution. The solution is always more than the problems.
Okay, so that's a very, very, very interesting takeaway from I guess this is really the last question of the session. So we should not underestimate its importance as because a lot of entrepreneurs, they think that maybe they analyze, and then as a result of all this analysis, they get paralysis, right? And then they get stuck, and then they don't do. Just start doing first, and then just solve the problem as you go along. Okay, one more question I think has just popped in. CGC, right, for Jenny. How will CGC support applications for loans for new businesses which they've pivoted to without any track record on sales or revenue? So new companies with no track record, how do they get facilities?
Okay, I think first of all, for whatever business that an SME pivot to, unless you can tell me exactly what business you are, whoever I'm speaking to, right? Or you can actually call us separately later. Basically, we assess into new businesses, like I mentioned before, whether it's a pivoted business or not a pivoted business. In CGC, we assist startups that at least have 6 months of record. Now, when we look at this, it could also be, for example, you pivoted a business that you did not start before the pandemic. But if you can show a record of you being able to operate the business, say, for example, you have been working for someone before that does this business, it shows your experience, and that gives confidence to us to consider, not just us, but in any bankers to consider. Because more importantly, when we assess the business, is to see whether the owner has the experience before, because we believe if there's an experience behind it, the chances of the business it being able to operate and subsequently pay back is higher. Like for example, asset. Even though Duran, I'm just giving an example, Duran. But why would people want to consider that she is actually able to run the business? It could be because she has a partner that has run a similar business before. Now she partner as a key partner. So she has a strong key person that we believe operationally that business is going to be sustainable.
So not every, as we know, not every entrepreneur is like Asset, right, Jenny? Because
Sure, sure.
very capable, okay, very quick thinking, very energetic. But for the small entrepreneur, no cash in the bank, very hardworking, okay, no money to continue. Do these people get money or not?
Well, if they are affected by the pandemic, there are few situations here. If they are with CGC, we actually have a product that helps them to persevere over this pandemic situation. Because even before the pandemic, we have a scheme that helps the customers with those who affected by natural disaster. Just to give an example, right? So it depends on the situation. Like I said, because I unless this audience who asked this question could share a little bit more with me on the actual situation of what he or her business is and what is the business that he or she is pivoting to. I'm just using asset as an example. Like when if your partner is also running there, then the higher chance of the person be able to get the financing.
Okay, so the answer to the question is call Jenny and explain your situation.
Yeah, because frankly, SMEs, there are so many types. And today we have a short session. I wish we have a longer session because I don't want some audience to think that, Jenny, you're just speaking like, the easy part, the F&B. How about us? I can tell you that we also have stories of construction companies that totally got shut down. But truly, because again, they pivoted business that they have done before the pandemic happened. So there are so many situations that I think we should take this pandemic as a learning. Yes, it's an expensive learning, but it's already gone, and we have to be living with it already. And let's move on and quickly now reflect back what we have not done correctly. Even for myself, ourselves in CGC, we will reflect back what have we done correctly, what have we not done correctly, and let's just move on.
Yeah. Okay, well, Kevin, actually turns out the last question belongs to you. You're a popular guy. So the question really is enabling digital adoption, right? Because as we know, lacking money, lacking talent, lacking resources, how do you make this journey onto the digital ladder as easy as possible? Just try and give us a compact answer.
Without touching any specific industry, I think digitalization is a journey. It's a journey that every business has to go through. I might point it to one of the index assessment that anyone can do. We introduced something called Digital Readiness Index, where we're benchmarking all SME, not just Malaysia, but globally based on their digital readiness in their business. So generally, whichever industry you're in, first step, I think what all SME can do is it's in our website. You go to Maxis website, you'll be able to find Digital Readiness Index under the business section. It's free. Just take an assessment. It's a self-assessment. Answer a few questions about what industry, how big you are, how many employee, what industry, what logical, whether you're logistic, manufacturing, F&B. You will be able to get a feel of where you are in digitalization. And then it gives you probably a good idea of how you can start first, where to start. So don't think about digitalization is like a big investment. Everyone can afford it. Like what I mentioned just now, some of the small solutions, like if you're in the F&B delivery, you can start digitalization with a couple hundred ringgit a month type of expenses just to start something.
Okay.
Once you get it running, you will learn more about what you need to move forward.
Okay. So for digital, call Kevin. For money, call Jenny. For advice, call Asset. It's very easy. Social media, everybody's reachable. Thank you, guys. It was illuminating, energizing to talk to you. Good luck with the plans. See you soon. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, start the second session straight away. I'm going to welcome each panelist one by one. And of course, the first panelist is a gentleman named Dato Irwin S.W. Cheong. Dato Irwin is a co-founder of Industries Unite. He's a self-made serial entrepreneur, started as a techno-entrepreneur a quarter of a century ago. He's co-owned multiple businesses across the whole continent in different industries like property management, social e-commerce technology, corporate branding, business consulting. He is also currently the group managing partner of a company called ICU.co group of companies. Now, also moving on to the next panelist, we've got none other than Dato Seri Michael Teo. He's the group chief executive, in fact, Dr. Michael Teo as well, group chief executive and managing director of a company called PKT Logistics St. John Berhad. He's got a philosophy of dream of it and talk about it, plan for it, work on it, and get it, very much like Acid earlier. Dato Michael took the leading role to further grow the company with a vision of becoming a logistics leader and providing customized, integrated, total logistics solution in ASEAN. Now, of course, the third panelist is none other than Yip Hao Nang. Yip Hao Nang is the head of SME banking for RHB Bank Berhad. He's also basically focusing responsibly mainly on the growth of small and medium enterprises, and he's got more than a decade worth of experience in various capacities within SME banking. Now again, just like earlier, while the tech team works on getting all the speakers into the same room together, please bear with us. We'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you, everybody, for staying with us. Of course, we've got the huge privilege of having three very, very big bosses on the screen in front. Dato Irwin, Dato Michael, of course, Nang, all of you are big bosses and hugely influential in your own right. I want to start the discussion with you, Dato Irwin, because in your work with Industries Unite, you've got 3.3 million members, I think, within your organization, 60% of which I think are micro entrepreneurs. So you've got this front seat view of how tough life has been, and life has been very tough. SOPs, lack of capital, changes of government, just to be constructive about where we are in the whole business cycle, Dato Irwin, what can you tell me about how the small businesses are really trying to traverse this landscape now?
Well, first off, thank you very much for having me, gentlemen. Of course, to SOBA Labs, thank you very much, and also Cheong. Okay, for the message about Industries Unite, we started Industries Unite beginning of the year, in January 2021. And during that time, of course, both me and my co-founder, Dato David Guru Patam, we found that there was a need for people to represent the midstream as well as the low stream business group, which is the micro entrepreneurs. So today we actually represent 3.3 million businesses, out of which 65% are actually micro businesses. Well, based on the questions that you asked just now about how difficult it is, it has been a very difficult and daunting task for us, because businesses has been reopen and close and reopen. That's so many, from PKP to MCO 1, 2, 3, FMCO, now PPN, and so on and so forth. So it has been a tough journey for most businesses, and I would say that a majority of our business owners have, not survived during this pandemic. But of course, we work very closely with the government, and the government is also working closely with us to keep tabs on what's really happening on the ground and how to actually reach out, like, for example, like the Bantuan Prihatin, to really reach out to the ground, to help out all these micro entrepreneurs. Yeah. Yes, back to you, Cheong. Yeah.
Bigger PKT, for example, Dato Michael, I'm going to call you DMT because that's what you're known. Among your over 1 million Facebook subscribers, they know you as DMT or Captain. I'm going to call you Captain DMT. Okay? So the thing is, I know at one stage you're trying to do your transformation plan. You're trying to go, I think you're trying to reduce your dependence on auto logistics and try and carve out something along the lines of a more diversified income base. But that was also set back by the pandemic. So even for someone like you, who's a huge player, right? You're fighting the DHL, for example. You should be listed, but I don't know why you're not. You're big enough to be listed in America, I'm sure. How did that transition happen for you? How did you deal with it?
Well, John, actually, we have gone through, I think, two big crises. One is 1998 world currency crisis. The other one is this world financial crisis in 2009. So for those people who went through the pandemic, crisis, we actually know a little bit how to handle it. Like what I did back in 2009, this world financial crisis, where we did a transformation immediately after the crisis. And with the transformation, we decided to diversify away from automotive sales, because we were really, we thought, Blue Ocean strategy, automotive logistics, you are the biggest, you just concentrate on this chunk of the business, nobody will come. So, but then again, when it comes to world financial crisis, that is the first time we are facing problem when the market, the sales down by 30%, our sales also down by 30%. So that pushes us to do transformation, and we decided to move away from only merely automotive to another segment. We call it the non-auto sector at that time. So we call it Wawasan 60-40, 60% maintained in automotive, 40% in non-auto. So when it comes to this pandemic, that was supposed to be our growth area on the non-auto. So we focus on where are the 40% coming from. We choose F&B, FMCG, all that is recession-proof. Because when it comes to recession, the first thing that people cut are luxury goods. So car is actually luxury. So when it comes to the current pandemic, which is we call it the COVID-19 crisis, so then we found that our circuit breaker burst and then got burnt, meaning we went into loss. Okay, so that means our vision 60/40 didn't work out as what we planned it to be, because I would say COVID-19 is almost like a mother of all crises, because if you compare to currency crisis in 1998, there was like depreciation of ringgit from 2.0 to 4.5 or 4.6. And then come to the world financial crisis, it was like nothing to do with Malaysia. It is more like subprime mortgage in the US, and the bad news keep on coming in until everybody got scared and nobody dared to spend. And because of that, market went into technical recession. So, but this time now is totally different. It's completely shut down. We had never come across that production cannot continue for so many months. That is why we lost in that particular year. So we quickly took what do you call it? I was watching your previous talk. I mean, the quick action is very important. So PKT did the same thing again, almost similar to what we did in 2009 world financial crisis. We have a transformation. We call all our member back again, say, guys, I think our circuit breakers has actually burst already. This time we need to quickly reinvent the view, change the direction a little bit, and then make sure that we are prepared for the next cycle already. So meaning I have given them what is going to happen, okay? All right, we're going to lose money and whatnot. And at the same time, I've also given him the direction, what we're going to do for the next 5 to 10 years, so that we will not repeat this mistake again.
Yeah. Before we go to Nang, in the all-important financial sector part of the discussion, the money is very important. So definitely we're going to come to you, Nang, in just a minute. But just, I want to get Dato Irwin's point of view, because, you know, if you have had the fortune, I mean, this is constructive fortune, to have gone through a recession in the last GFC or the currency crisis of 1998, you learn along the way. There's lessons to be learned. And if you have had the good fortune to survive it, that means the next crisis, which will definitely come, you're going to be more fortified and more resilient against it, right? For you, Dato, when you've been through, you know, businesses after business, you've done businesses, you're a serial entrepreneur. What advice can you give to entrepreneurs to try and make it through this pandemic alive, so they can make it to the next stage of growth?
I think, that's a good question, Cheong. I think I echo what DMT, or Captain DMT has mentioned just now, right? It's about preparation. You know, I mean, if you're talking about the pandemic hit us during this time, and if we were to say now is the time to plan for now, the pandemic, we are a little bit too late, far too late, right? So a lot of things have to be planned prior in advance, and all this planning requires years of preparation. I mean, just look at cash flow. You know, this, I would say, those who survive during this time, majority of, I would say, some of my peers, they are able to survive during this time only because they have gone through the previous recession. And the previous recession has actually taught us one thing, which is to always keep cash flow, always keep cash in our hand, no matter what it is. I mean, during this time, we will say, you know, a lot of people will say that, oh, I have assets here, I have, you know, not liquid asset. We are talking about, you know, maybe property and so on and so forth. But it doesn't help you. You know, during pandemic, who's going to buy houses? Who's going to buy a car from you? You are stuck with all the document assets. So we all need liquid asset. I mean, liquid cash for this matter. So that's why you can see that a lot of difference between those who just came in. That's why we pity those who just came into the scene, like the millennials for that matter, especially those who open, you know, a small F&B outlet, or maybe what they call a cafe, you know, and they are all gone. All these people, look at all those bubble tea, you know, bubble tea houses. It used to be mushroom blooming. Every single corner you can find a bubble tea house, but now it's all gone. majority of them are gone. Only the one there is the the big brand names are still around. That's it. So this has really taught us during this time. I mean, basically, it has taught us during last time that to always be able have readily available cash for us in hand. And I believe this time, people are more vigilant in terms of thinking through what they need to do instead of spending for luxury goods or whatsoever it is, but really keeping a reserve fund for themselves for emergency in case of a certain situation like this ever happened again. Things like that. Yeah. Back to you, Cheong.
Fantastic. I mean, that's probably the most valuable advice that you can give to people for the next crisis. But for Nang, I mean, I want to talk about how the financial sector last year, I think for the first time in a very long time, all the banks, save maybe one or two, decided to forego paying dividends to shareholders, which is almost unheard of because banks are, of course, income generators for shareholders, right? Big and small, EPF included. And then, of course, a lot of banks took a hit on the profitability by giving relief facilities and giving, I think, loan moratoriums to both individuals and as well as small businesses. RHB was no exception. Just about in terms of going forward, right? What else is the financial sector looking to do to further help, a real recovery on a more sustainable basis, Nang?
Yeah, maybe I'll just start with what the bank can continue to do. In fact, we are already doing. Then maybe I'll share a little bit of my observation. So I think there should not be any doubt in anybody's mind that I think the bank, especially the banks in Malaysia, continue to provide help and repayment assistance to all the SME. In fact, I cannot say on behalf of other banks, but internally for our bank, for all the application and requests that come in and requested for assistance, we have approved almost 99% of them. So I think that's the bank commitment to the recovery plan of Malaysia. Yeah.
I mean, I know certainly the loan moratorium period is still going through. I think a lot of companies have been through it, big and small. That's extended at least until the first quarter of next year. I know Budget 2022 is coming up. From a policy one perspective, I think, wish lists are usually always issued at this time of year. Nang, the current finance minister is a banker, former head of CIMB, right? Tengku Safrul. He has a very clear picture of what is needed in the system. What do you think the financial sector could propose to the government, not necessarily get, but propose to the government to help the SMEs really, really come out as many of them alive as possible on the other side?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing about MOF currently. And every time before they rolled out any plan, they will always get engaged with association as well as bankers.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there are a few things that we need to get done immediately. I think there's still a large portion of our SME in Malaysia that is still in need of fund to continue with the business, fund for expansion. And in this kind of environment, I think what the Bank Negara can do is to step in and provide cheaper funding for the bank so that we can on-let this funding to the SME who are in need.
But so how much cheaper? How much cheaper? Captain DMT, how much cheaper? Because there comes a time, right? You got to be positive or at least confident about the future to borrow more money. If you're not confident about the future, why would you borrow more money? Because at the end of the day, you got to pay that money back, even though it might cost you less, but you still got to pay it back, right? So how do you make sure that among the entrepreneur class, sentiment is improved? What would change sentiment for the better?
You're asking me, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know you're investing in new warehouses.
Yes, correct.
The money where your mouth is.
For us, the important thing is cash in hand. You need cash in hand, not really just about financing. Financing is talking about future investment that is not in hand. What you need to make sure is you are able to pay your salary, you have to pay whatever your financial commitment and whatnot. So cash in hand is very important. But then again, if you're talking about for an investment of a new project, that will depends on the return and the risk and return for the one. So that one, I don't really, as far as we are concerned, we can make profit and it's within the market rate, we are fine with that. But in terms of those SME owner that you are asking Nang just now is talking about how much money they need in hand. So I would say that those financing interests should be a bit reasonable compared to those for commercial reason. So for those people who borrowed money to survive, you don't want to put up another big chunk of margin on top, but you focus on the commercial side to charge them a little bit more. But whereas for those SME, the small and macro one, you can actually transfer their margin to the big corporation. You know, there's a few big corporation that makes a lot of money as well. So either that or you reduce the interest rate to them, so then they can transfer back to the SME side. So for us, we are looking at in terms of when we do any project in hand, we are looking for competitive rates, but we are not asking the government to subsidize us at this time when we are looking at a project that we can make money. So that is unreasonable. But what we think in order for us, for the SME people that is watching today, who is suffering from cash flow, verge of bankruptcy, and actually their business is profitable, is to find way to give them some cash to sustain through this period of time. And that cash should comes with a reasonable, like what they proposed earlier on, 3.5 was good, because at least they are able to survive through this period of time, because after they turn around, they are able to pay interest to you. So don't want them to, their margin is only 5%, they are going to, after they turn around, they pay their margin back to the bank only. So it's not fair. So the bank should share that with the SME, the micro SMEs. John?
This rate is 1.7% is very, very low.
Yeah.
You know, I think sometimes, you know, governments or at least people, they don't realize the importance that SMEs have to the economy. Various estimates, I think Credit Suisse has talked about how, especially in Malaysia, SME is maybe at least 75% of the economy. And today, the Malaysian economy is about 1 trillion ringgit. Dato, what can you tell me about the economic significance of the SME sector to Malaysia? Can you put some details to that?
You're mute.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Chuang. Thanks, DMT. Right. Okay. So for real context here, okay, before we came into the picture, I mean, before Industries Unite came into the picture, we noticed that there was a lot of discussion between the government and the so-called, we call it SME, right? SME. And when we look to the ground, we noticed that majority of our SME friends, because most of our friends are actually either presidents or vice presidents of different associations and so on. So we asked them, have you all been engaged by the government before in terms to discuss about policy issues, to discuss about moving forward, about economy issues and stuff and so on and so forth? But we noticed that there was not very much a lot of engagement there. Then only we realized that a lot of SMEs, the definition of SME here is a bit different. SME, probably during that time, government is looking at very much the MNCs, the multinationals. And some of the multinationals call themselves SME too. They call themselves media enterprise. So a lot of times when we see big numbers, you know, or as much as, you know, with all due respect to the previous government and so on, which they also did help us, is that we noticed that a lot of the statistics that came about was only from all the large organizations. It was never from the mid-tier to micro entrepreneurs. Mid-tier and micro entrepreneurs do not have a voice. So that was the reason why Industries Unite came to the picture. We came into the picture was because there wasn't a loud enough voice to represent this group of people, which if you say in terms of, maybe in terms of revenue, may not be as large as the multinationals, but in terms of volume, in terms of quantity, in terms of hiring the large amount of people in Malaysia, this group of people are the one that covers. Imagine if we are talking about, we represent 3.3 million business owners, and even every single one of them hire just 3%, that's like 10 million people being hired already. So we are talking about almost like the whole rakyat Malaysia we are talking here. So that's why our voice was strong during that time, was because we were talking about what's happening on the ground. People are not able to fend for themselves. The real SMEs are not being able, to voice out, to say that, what's happening on the ground, what can we do, what can we help them, things like that. As much as I do thank the banking industry, the bank, we have very close relationship with Bank Negara as well. Until now, they are listening to us. As much as we say a lot of the statistics that they did it wrong earlier part, but they decided to listen to us, because whatever aid that was provided the first round did not touch any of the SMEs. So they made that changes immediately, and it really helped us along the way, right?
Yeah. It sounds like the conundrum that Malaysia had with classification of households and B40, M40, and then T20, because that dictates how financial relief is doled out and affordable housing as well. So if SMEs are not classified accordingly, then they don't get the assistance, right? And we know that to be a real factor. I just want to switch to Nang now, because Nang is basically, he's the provider of capital, right? You supply capital to these guys. Is there a proposition, Nang, for banks, not just yourselves, but the banks generally? Because even public bank, right? Even PKT Logistics was an SME once. I'm sure 100 years ago, PKT was maybe 3 people, 2 people, 5 people, right? Family members. If you had lent money to PKT then, and look at the size they are now, you would make a whole bunch of cash. Is there a proposition to relook at the way you classify new deal origination, maybe? How you categorize, giving out money, maybe not so stringent? I don't know. What's your feedback?
I think if we are talking about the way we evaluate credit cases, then again, I think different banks will probably have different way looking at this. So I think, especially now, traditionally, bank always rely on the set of financials, audited financials, to make a credit decision, right, whether to lend or not to lend. So knowingly that 2020 was a gone year, a lot of SME wasn't doing too well. So I think different banks will react to this differently. So I think internally also we come up with a way to help SME to do projection. And instead of relying on the historical information to make a credit decision, we actually come up with a very good alternative to allow the bank to project the SME future earning capability in order for us to decide whether to lend them the money or not.
Yeah. And Captain, I know because you've told me offline, you are investing a great deal into new warehouses. I think you've got one huge one on the border of Malaysia and Thailand. You've got another one coming up. You obviously see the economy shifting in a positive way. What made you go through that process of investing for the future? What have you seen to give you this optimism?
Well, we did a study back in 2009, and we study back and see what actually happened and how did we come up with the idea to build a warehouse during recession, and subsequently during the revaluation we make about 10 million out of it. So we did that study, and we say that, well, in a way, in a business, you need to do a bit of prediction. You need to be able to see what is going to happen in the near future. So, and happen to be, we are on the verge of doing our 60-40 vision. So we have a port logistics coming out, and also another regional distribution center coming out, and we were discussing about it and whatnot. So, and then the timing was right in the sense that we always know, you don't build when everyone is building. You build when nobody is building, then you get to do a bit of cost saving here. So this is opportunity amidst pandemic. So I look at it in the sense that, okay, so this time round looks like we have 2 big projects in hand that we can start planning for it. The very minute the pandemic over, we will start the construction, and we will be the first to start the construction so that we will enjoy a cheaper cost. So this is how we look at it. We evaluate past data, and we look at from the past data and look into the pandemic this time round. Because if you're not mistaken, the last pandemic, the last world financial crisis also came with a pandemic, but it's a minor pandemic. It's called H1N1 pandemic. All right. And it was quite mild in a way that it came and it went off. But they were talking about it. They're talking about masks, and we did a bit of like avoiding traveling at that time and whatnot lah. But this time now, pandemic is the worst lah. That's why I call it mother of all crises. But then again, even that, from the past data, we were able to find out how long did they take to come up with the vaccine from the H1N1 time. So we knew that it took about 5 months for them to come up with a vaccine. So if 5 months will be the time period they come up with a vaccine, especially from America side, we don't know China. China never announced anything. So we predicted that by October or November, the vaccine will be out already. So by then, to roll out the vaccine, this is the first time we are having this kind of rolling out, taking long time, and then all the global, the rich nation hugging all the vaccines so we cannot get ours and whatnot. So this is the first experience that we are facing. Luckily, like I say, the bankers are always helping us. They know we are facing that problem. In fact, I did a live webinar together with the bank before to tell all other SMEs, look, this is not the end. Even though the bank government did not announce moratorium, you need to go and see your banker and tell them your story. So we go in early and in advance to tell them what is happening, and so that we can get our what they call deferments of our financing as well. So once you've done that, get over and done with, you don't have stress anymore, and you focus on what is next you need to do.
Yeah, you know, DMT, people say logistics is like a reflection of the health of the economy. You know, like banks, banks, logistics, haulage, because you move business, right? You move stuff that people buy from A to B, and the stronger the economy, the stronger your business. And the fact that you're investing this much money, I'm not sure how much it is. You don't have to tell me because you're private. You don't have to tell me. It's not public, right? But the fact that you invested this amount of money shows that you think a recovery is around the corner.
Yes.
Okay? So, message to the SMEs: survive this crisis, stay alive, because next year is going to be interesting. But you have to tell me how interesting is interesting.
Well, depends on the sector. Basically, we are looking at regionally what is happening in terms of logistics movement, because we have now moved on to a bigger type of logistics. We are talking about the movement, the shifting of regional hub from Singapore to Malaysia, and also now we are looking at further than Singapore. We are looking at Japan and maybe other nations, Hong Kong or whatnot. They are looking at moving of their regional hub into this region, because obviously we are at the right position. Where we have global rich port, we have cheap labor, and we have very good infrastructure. So I think Malaysia is very, very cheap to do a regional hub. So we are seeing that movement. So that movement is automatic. They are coming to us whether we want to take it or not. So we need to position ourselves very well. So that is why I think for us, we don't really look into whether there is a buyer or not, because the whole business is from the global distribution center from another country that they move to here. So it's a new business. It's nothing to do with Malaysia. It is, in actual fact, this will be very good for Malaysian government, because this will create movement without any increase in incentive or whatnot, because they will automatically come to Malaysia.
Yeah, I want to go back to Dato Irwin, right? Because although we've had changes of administration in the last couple of years, the government may change, but the civil service stays the same. And I know anecdotally people tell me that within the various industries, whether it's international trade, whether it's MOF, whether it's MITI, domestic trade, the civil service, the KSUs are very hardworking. What can you tell me in terms of actual movements on the ground, and then how do small businesses go and deal and interact and basically make contact with the various ministries, Dr. Irwin, to get the ball rolling, to get the assistance, the grants, the incentives? What advice can you give?
Currently, I would say that much has been improved. I mean, even from the previous government, we have to thank the previous Prime Minister as well as the respective ministry which is actually rolled down to the current ministry as well. If you look at previously, there may not be what you call direct hotline with the respective ministry, but right now there is. You have direct hotline with them. You can leave either an email and so on and so forth. But of course, not necessarily the response will be immediate. But the thing is that at least there will be someone who's going to answer to you in that case. And now, ever more than ever, if you look at it right now, there are so many associations and trade associations or even coalition like us as well that is actually representing the industry for that matter. Even if you are not able to bring it up to the let's say the ministry, you can actually even reach out to us. We will actually bring it up to the ministry to ensure that someone within the ministry will be able to take a look at what is really happening on the ground. Yeah. So I want to echo what DMT has mentioned just now, Captain DMT, which is right now we look at it. Right now is the time that we are rebuilding. If you are looking at SME, now is everything. We just got our last sector, which is the spa and wellness industry, out of the negative list, right? Out of the negative list. So no one is in the negative list anymore. So from the very beginning, when we first stated at Industries Unite, it says that all sectors are essential for as long as they are providing services to someone, whether or not it is of your service to you or not, they are still providing services because why? Because they have family to feed. Yeah, there are families to feed. There are people over there, that make a living, that bring food back to their home. So there is essential to the people. So we feel that right now is the stage that is for rebuilding time. And it is important for us to ensure that the economy will be able to allow to recover. It's not like straight away you open shop and we thought that, business recover already. It's not as seems that it be, it cannot be straight away. It has, it's just like the starting of an engine. It will take us probably about 6 months to a year for us to really recover, So this is the time where we hope that there won't be any more lockdowns, So because lockdown is not the way to go anymore. So we need to live with the pandemic, So we are in the endemic time. So for that, we need to really ensure how to actually ensure all this economy will continue to progress. Because if not, foreign investments are not going to come in as well. I am the same with the DMT. We have also invested in locations as well. I have 30,000 square feet, which we are building it for live stream studio, right? So, but the thing is that my investors are asking me from China, when are we going to ensure that it's not going to be another lockdown or lockup and so on and so on, things like that.
Can I add that because we look into the current data, we are very lucky. We are able to see what is happening in America and also in the UK when they reach 80% adults are fully vaccinated and what happened to the economy. I think as an entrepreneur, I would advise don't be negative. Listen to all these negative sharings. Go and research yourself a little bit. Be a bit more positive. Research yourself. What is happening in the US? What is happening in the UK? And they are living their life back to normal. Restaurants booking is fully booked and whatnot. So once you get rid of this, we have done with the vaccination, the recovery will come. So you need to be a bit more positive about it.
Yeah, we know the Prime Minister said that once Malaysian adults hit 80% vaccination, interstate travel will be allowed. And of course, we know that we're heading towards an endemic period where we have to live with COVID, no choice, right? It's going to be a reality like influenza. So I want to point out the fact that in the last few weeks, maybe a couple of months, shareholders have been nibbling at bank stocks, right? Their expectations that banks will be the beneficiaries of an economic recovery, of course, right? Because you guys are proxy to the company, to the country's growth. Now, definitely loans growth will recover, right? So what are banks specifically doing? Like, for example, yourselves at RHB, to come up with new packages, come up with new products, some new schemes to basically take advantage of this recovery and to also make it an easy one for small businesses to take on board.
So right now, at least for RHB Bank, we are very, very aligned with all the fund rolled out by Bank Negara. So what we do now is we will try to leverage on this fund and help Bank Negara to dish out all of them to the qualified individual or SME. So that is what we are currently focusing on.
Right. So in terms of like development of new ideas, would you work with the regulators? Would you work with the policymakers, or would you work together as an industry to maybe come up with new ideas, new schemes, new directions?
Most of the time, we will work with Bank Negara more, not with the competitors.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, of course, because what you're saying, Dr. Irwin, right? It's better to speak as a voice. So better to be part of Industries Unite and 3.3 million small businesses, rather than a sole person trying to get a meeting with the KSU. It's almost impossible, right? So what kind of things, I'm sure there's lots of engagements between yourselves and the government, right? What can we expect for SMEs in Budget 2022? Or what can we hope to expect?
Well, I wanted to echo something which what Nang has mentioned, is about the banks. Actually, if you look at the banks, I don't blame the banks for not. I'm not talking about RHB or maybe another bank, right? So we know of banks that has actually rejected a lot of the loans, and so on and so forth, And of course, during that time, I would say that we can't blame the banks for not approving. It's because during that time, there were so many sectors that was like in a negative list, right? It's either this cannot open, that cannot open. So the banks will also assess in terms of risk. It's like, you guys are not able to open. So if I'm going to give you the amount, when are you able to pay me back? Things like that. So I can understand from that perspective. But that's the reason why we work with the government very extensively just to ensure that all of the sectors are out of the negative list. Because for as long as they are not out of the negative list, they will never be able to get all these benefits and all these facilities that even whichever bank for that matter, or even Bank Negara were to say, okay, I approve you guys, but you guys are in the negative list, bank will definitely not approve it. So that's what it is. So moving forward, we are quite fortunate, or shall we say that we are quite happy that right now we are still engaging with a lot of the ministry. And in fact, we are working with them very progressively, and they have been very, very active in terms of even in social media. Right now, you can see all announcements is via social media. And every important messages, or they want quick messages, it will come over to a WhatsApp. It will come direct to WhatsApp. I even get WhatsApp from the minister himself. If he wants an answer, I get the minister to ask me directly on my WhatsApp as well. So it's no longer just all the, last time it used to be all the bureaucracy, all the letters, and we say cut all the bureaucracy, cut all the letters. Every time we want to ask for just one simple thing, also must write in Bahasa, and all the yang berhormat, everything has to write in letter. But now it's like, we want quick answers, we want things to happen, because every day it's someone's life. Every day is someone who is not able to put food on their table. So it's very important. Quick decision making is very important during this pandemic. That's why we say, we are at war. During the time, we keep on mentioning in the news. I think the Star have actually highlighted our news so many times. We have mentioned so many times that we are at war. You cannot be like at war when people are fighting and shooting the gun, and you're going to say that, oh, let me think about it next week. By then everyone will already be dead, things like that. But at least right now, I would say that the ministry, the engine behind is working very hard with us. And we have worked with the ministry, the KSU, the TKSU, even the pengarah. Even when they are talking to the MKN right now, for the approval of a specific sector, they will send a message to us. They say that, Dato, we are going in right now. We are doing this. Wish us luck, things like that. So you see, the engagement right now is we really appreciate this engagement, and it really helps us a lot, because business people sometimes, even if it's not because of whether it's open or not, people need to have an ability to know that there is hope. There is hope that things are going to be better. There is light at the end of the tunnel. People need to know that. Yeah.
What do you think foreign investors want to see in Malaysia?
Definitely stability. Stability in our economy, stability in our businesses. Not to say, like if today I can open, next week I off. It's the same thing. I mean, let's look at F&B. F&B, restaurant businesses. they buy their stocks in advance, maybe 1 month in advance and so on and so forth. But if you're gonna not allow it, like the yester months, we were saying that, okay, we can only predict what is going to happening every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks, then we say whether we're going to lock down or we're going to reopen. It's not going to help us a lot, because businesses doesn't survive based on 2 weeks. Business survive based on months and years of planning, things like that. So it has to be a longer term planning. So that's what we have been telling the government, that's why we have been sharing, that we need this to come in. If not, there's always our neighbors that people can just invest on. So we are losing out. We are losing out. So that's why we need to come back to where we are. Malaysia used to be the tiger of Asia, and we need to have that. We need to be the tiger of Asia.
Yeah, there's definitely a substitution effect going on. I think DMT was talking about it, right? There's money coming away from China, away from the rest of the world, into the region. ASEAN is the next big thing. I think there's been a lot of questions that have been coming into the social media platforms to ask you guys, okay, what would be seen as the significant transformation in Malaysia for the next 2 or 3 years in terms of economic movements? A significant transformation in Malaysia for the next 2 or 3 years in terms of economic movements. I think, can Captain take this question?
Well, I have been trying to predict as well what is going to happen in Malaysia after we have gone through the cycle of, during the oil crisis, where the oil price dropped all the way down and whatnot. And so far, until today, I think the oil and gas industry used to be very glamorous and now no longer glamorous. So if no more oil and then palm oil is also ongoing, what is next for Malaysia? Besides, we keep on emphasizing on manufacturing. I think service industry. So I think service industry, in a sense that in the near future, service not only in terms of logistics, but also banking as well, Islamic banking, or maybe in terms of holiday as a destination for holiday and whatnot. But if you look into all this, the biggest chunk of it is in terms of GDP contribution will be the logistics side. So because we are adjusting within this region, who will be the next to take over, down south as the next regional hub? Because cost is too high. The only way they can, even the same thing goes to my prediction about what's happening in Japan, the aging society, and no young people want to work in a warehouse anymore. So they have no choice. They have looked to move out from Japan. So now the thing is, language is a barrier for them. So, but then among the countries that they will choose in terms of how they like to work with each other is, of course, at one time, because we keep on talking about Look East policy, so they think Malaysia is a very friendly country to them. So we are looking at a migration of businesses from there to come to here. That's one thing. Then also automatically migration of businesses in the south side moving to here. So that is why how long it's going to be, I do not know, because we just started it. But I think if you look into GDP contribution for logistics in our neighboring country down south, it's about 8%, and we are only 3.8%. So then you can calculate roughly how long will it take by looking into the GDP contribution. When you reach a developed status, 8% looks like a reasonable amount.
DMT, when you say south, you mean Singapore, is it?
Yeah, right.
Why? A few weeks ago, there was a rejuvenation of the news reports about how, the Isthmus Kra Canal might be restarted. Is that part of the reason why there's this migration? We'll see.
No. Kra Canal is they've been talking for ages, and actually, if they ever come across to do a Kra Canal, it will have to be financed by China, because Thailand cannot afford it. And not only that, they will divide Thailand into two countries, and they are already having problem with the south. And the north-south highway, our ASEAN highway, will be disconnected as well. So what is going to happen to the rail, ASEAN rail? What is going to happen to the ASEAN connectivity by road as well? It's going to be blocked by the canal. And the canal cannot be too big. It will have to be single lane. And we are at the congestion from all over the world. We have to use Latin America. And then if you go to the canal, I don't think many people will use the canal. So unless they're going to avoid Singapore transshipment, because doing logistics business, doing shipping business, the profitability is from drop container, pick up again, drop and pick up, drop and pick up. Not you take from one destination all the way to their destination. That is not the way you make money.
Of course, you cannot have too narrow, otherwise another evergreen tanker gets stuck there.
Yeah, you cannot have single lane, right? Single lane will be like congested 2-3 days just to cross it. But in order to cross that difference, it's only 1,200 kilometers deviation away. Not compared to the one in the Suez Canal, about 6,000 over kilometer, and the one in America, Panama Canal, is about 11 to 12,000 kilometer. So this doesn't make economic sense now.
Okay. Now I think we've got some more questions for the panel. How to find the right formula to steer corporate growth amidst the keen competition? Okay, growth and competition. I think maybe Dato Irwin. What do you think?
Mute.
Sorry, mute again. Okay, actually the thing is this. We've been because even I think even when we first started, I think Cheong, you did mention that I'm actually doing regional business, which I am. So to me, I've been one of those people who keep on mentioning that actually for fellow Malaysians, I mean for those of all the listeners here, we shouldn't be thinking at each other as competition. We are no longer competition with each other. I mean, during this pandemic time, I would say during this crisis time, we have seen unprecedented time where competitors or opposite sides of the spectrum in terms of people come together and they help each other to grow. And this is so marvelous to finally find the spirit of unity in terms of fellow Malaysians. We are not competing with us in Malaysians. I mean, if we are still looking at competing with each other or whether you are from which race and so on and so forth, we are not going to be able to flourish and blossom. Because as Malaysian, we should be working with each other to see how not only to grow our business within Malaysia, but to grow out of Malaysia as well. Because that's where the money is. That's where we need to go and bring the money back to Malaysia. That's what it is, you know. So I do agree with the DMT, and one of the things that we are doing very well right now, working very closely with the Ministry of Entrepreneur Development, which is called MIDEC, even from the previous government to now, is that we identify that Malaysia is very rich in services industry. But when we talk about services industry, we are talking about not only, if you're talking about, let's say like the, the traditional uniforms, like the kain, batik, and so on and so forth, is still classified as services industry. Because you know why? Because you cannot classify them as manufacturing because they are doing hand carving and so on and so forth. So it's services industry. But when we look at the whole industry helping the people, normally, government has noticed this, that we are actually helping a lot of foreign companies, growing their companies, and after that, moving the funds out of Malaysia. We should be helping our fellow Malaysians, you know, in the services industry and growing that. And we identify that. We identify that to be very much that we need to grow in this industry. If we a lot of times we notice that we have seldom promote, like even like I give you an example, like hair industry. Do you know that Malaysia is actually one of the top hair industry players in the world? Beat that, you know, and we are not championing this as a government, as a Malaysian. We should be championing this because this is where our bread and butter is. This is where our secret recipe is for fellow Malaysians. So I believe the government is really helping and really tweaking that, you know, to ensure. And I can say one thing is that now is the good time. Now is the best time for all of us to really move forward, because government is noticing that we should be helping our fellow Malaysians to move forward.
Yeah, I mean, just to reference Acid from Duran in the last session, right? It's a collaboration economy, not a competition economy. Malaysia's 32 million people, Indonesia's 250 million people, even Myanmar is 70 million people, Vietnam is 90 million people. We cannot fight among ourselves. Do we have any more questions? Okay, I think the last question. Is there any aid financially or strategically from the governments or even the banks in this current situation? Is there any aid financially or strategically from the governments or banks in this current situation? I think, Nang, you can take this question. It's also the last question for the session.
Yeah, thanks, Chuan. Actually, the answer is yes, there is. If you can just go to the Bank Negara website, dependent on what kind of sectors that you're in, whether you're into agro-food, whether you are into other economic sectors, there are specific funds that are being allocated by Bank Negara to help out the industry.
Okay. Well, thank you, three of you. You've been at the same time engaging, candid, honest, and of course entertaining as well, and of course very informative. Thank you, Dato Irwin. Thank you, Dato Sri Dr. Michael Teo, Captain DMT for short, and of course Nang from RHB. Thank you all very much. Now, as we're just getting started, our next live webinar will be on October 14th from 3 p.m. onwards. That's October 14th from 3 p.m. onwards. The topic for that point in time will be business and well-being impacts and good practices. Again, please scan the QR code to register. I'm signing out now, but this page will still remain live to guide on SOBA online entry process. And if you have any questions on SOBA application, you may drop your inquiries in the Q&A box or email at soba@thestar.com.my. SOBA Help Desk team is ready to answer all your queries. Before you leave, just a couple of minutes to complete the poll. Of course, the feedback is very important. It will provide the best experience at all the future events, and they can improve in the process. Thank you all again, and see you again on the 14th of October at 3 p.m.